So this week we're going to be talking about, how do you even say his name? Energylandia.
Yeah.
Okay. We're talking about a new-ish park. I don't really know a lot about it. Energylandia.
Yeah.
It's in Poland.
Relatively new.
A couple of people suggested it. They wanted to hear us talking about it, and so we're going to do it. There's some news apparently before we start.
There is. Wallaby Holland's RMC Untamed has finally started testing, and we've seen POV footage of that going around now.
Right.
And for the initial test runs, it looks pretty fast, which is very good, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It holds its pace really well. The element flow is pretty good. So it seems like the park have bagged themselves a quality RMC, one of the higher, better ones rather than one of the worst.
Yeah.
Even though the worst ones are still very good,
Yeah.
But no, it's looking good. They're just adding final bits of theming to the site, more testing, I guess, and then opens the 1st of July.
Okay, so that's quite a while still.
Yeah, well, it does take a while to test everything over and over again.
Yeah.
And in other news, a few days ago, we found that there was planning application at a park called Flamingoland in the UK for a roller coaster with the exact height and length dimensions of Intamin's 10 looper. And a few months ago, we had rumours of Flamingoland buying an old Intamin 10 looper that was tossed around to several different parks but never built.
So you reckon they've bought it and they're going to put it in next year?
Yep, it does seem that way. It does. They've already been doing stuff on site, like preparing stuff on site.
Yeah.
Now this planning application and the rumours before, it's very likely that they'll get a 10 looper like Colossus. But there's two versions of the Intamin 10 looper. There's Colossus, and then there's an updated version.
Mm-hmm.
And the updated version has trains with lap bars.
Right. So it's better.
Yeah, it's a better version of Colossus that is tracked better and has lap bars and less crap trains. So
big news then.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's figure out what this park actually is, because I literally don't know hardly anything about it.
So it's located in Poland, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
A place called Zator. I don't know if that's how you say it, but there you go. It opened in 2014.
Okay.
So it hasn't even been open for 5 years yet.
Wow.
It's still only 4 years old, which is pretty crazy, considering how big of a park it is already.
Yeah. Did they build it from complete scratch? Or was there something already there that they kind of changed it?
I'm pretty sure it was from complete scratch.
Wow.
Yeah, because all of the rides have opened for 2014 or later. They've been expanding very, very, very quickly in terms of new investments and all that. According to the map, it's primarily split into like a few different zones, which is complete garbage because it's not. Like, it's stupid. It says there's the extreme zone, family zone, and for the little ones, right?
Okay.
But all of these rides are just scattered everywhere.
Oh yeah, I see now. I'm looking at the map. It's on their website.
There are no real zones. I think this is one of the things that people always talk about this park, is it seems like it's a bit of a jumbled mess.
So do they just mean the word zone in a different way to us, and the translations
They must do.
Just
They must
lost
do.
the meaning?
Yeah.
Because there's clearly no like kiddie area like at Alton Towers with CBeebies. No. It's just random, like.
Yeah, it's scattered all over the place, it seems.
Although there is a section where there's quite a lot of kids rides.
Yeah.
But there's still other stuff there.
But you still got the thrill coasters complete either ends,
Yeah.
one top left and one top right. So
yeah,
there is no real layout to this park, it seems. It seems it's very much just, here's a space, here's a ride, next,
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the concerns that people have said, is it doesn't feel like it has any coherence or consistency.
So there's no themed areas, I'm guessing.
It doesn't look like it. There's some of the rides have moderate theming or decent theming in some places, but they all seem to be themed locally to their own thing. Like one of the roller coasters is Formula One. What is it? Yeah. No, it's just Formula. and it's got like a racing theme.
Right.
But then right next to it is a ride with what looks to be a dragon theme.
Okay, so they're just chucking things all over the place.
Yeah.
What's
pretty
this
much.
dragon zone at the side?
That's the new thing that's coming. That's a whole new area of the park for next year.
Okay, but that looks like it's pretty themed to dragons.
That is its own distinct area with kind of like medieval theming.
Okay. So I guess they're trying to at least like have some areas that are tied together.
But that's being built from the ground up as well. So like there was nothing there before. So now they're being able to build a whole new area just in one big go. Kind of thing.
It's actually crazy that they can just carry on expanding because there's nothing around it.
Yeah, it is pretty mental. They've got a lot of space, it seems.
We should say actually that we've never been to this park before. We got a lot of questions asking like, is it worth going to? Is it like worth the trip? But we haven't actually been there, so
no.
I mean, it looks like it is if you're an enthusiast.
Well, the answer to those questions is always the same.
Depends
it's
what
worth
you
it
want
if
to
you
do.
think it's worth it. Yeah, it's not. It's never someone else's
decision.
Right to say a park's worth to go to.
Yeah.
You know, like it depends on what you want to experience. If there's a ride that you really like at a park, just go for it. Why not?
Yeah.
Who cares? You don't have to wait for people to say it's worth it. And it's the same with this park. Like, obviously, Energylandia is going to continuously get better because they're still building stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not really a case of is it worth it. It's a case of when's the best time to go.
Yeah.
So that you don't miss something big, like 2 months later, you know. So, but at the rate that this park's going, it does seem like that the answer will be there's never a good time to go.
Yeah, because every year there's going to be like new things that you've missed.
Yeah.
So is this like one of the only parks that's kind of been built this quickly? Because I feel like none of the other parks I've heard about have been rapidly increasing every single year.
What do you mean, just generally?
Yeah.
Well, most theme parks are pretty old.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Normally they just, every like couple of years or 4 years they get a big investment.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because they're already pretty established at that point. Whereas this park was not established at all. So they obviously had to build and scale up quite quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that was the aim. It's also worth noting that some of the new additions are actually funded by the EU.
Okay.
Or at least partially.
Are they basically building this park as like an investment so that people start visiting Poland more?
Yeah, pretty much. It does seem that they are trying to up tourism. And having a big theme park is just a good way to bring tourism to a certain area.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially people from like surrounding countries.
Yeah, exactly. If you can get a few million people coming into your area each year.
Yeah.
And, sometimes staying over, then, yeah, you're doing good. So it does seem that, yeah, the new additions as of now, I think that probably will stop eventually, but
yeah,
the new additions as of now are being funded, at least partially, by the European Union.
I guess once they get to the point where it's, the park's established enough to be a park, they'll tone it down a little bit more, but they're basically like fast forwarding the stage where they like get to that point.
This is it. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
They're just rapidly expanding each year to have like brand new massive coasters. They seem to be getting bigger and bigger things as well.
Yeah.
This is what we must add. Like some of the early roller coaster editions were just relatively small.
Should we go through like their main coasters that they've had?
Do you know?
No. The only one I know is Hyperion. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
That's the only one I've heard of. But it seems like they have lots.
Yeah. As of now, they have 12.
Okay.
And 3 opening year. This crap-looking wild mouse. Mars. What the hell? Mars. Yep. That is creepy.
Let me look at this ride.
Budget.
Oh, it's a kid's ride.
Alien theming.
Okay.
On a little kiddie coaster.
It kind of looks like Octonauts, but like a weird version of Octonauts.
And then Fruity Loop coaster, which is just a wacky one. So opening year, they didn't have crap.
Yeah.
TLDR. But then, obviously, rapid expansion of the park. It was only small opening year. So for the second year, they got 3 decent coasters, actually. They got a Vekoma SLC.
Mm-hmm.
So that became the park's first extreme coaster. And I've heard it runs pretty well.
Okay.
So... then they also got a Vekoma family suspended coaster.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like... It's a family coaster, but it's quite an intense family coaster at the end of the day.
Which one's that?
This is called Dragon Roller Coaster.
They like their dragons then.
Yes, now with dragons. And then finally they got Energus Roller Coaster, which is a Vekoma Junior Coaster.
Okay.
So yeah, they got a few, all by Vekoma.
Yeah.
I don't blame them, they're right.
So the first couple of years, it's more like a family park.
Yeah, it's more kind of smaller additions, trying to build up some base to go off.
Yeah.
2016, in terms of roller coasters, saw the debut of Formula, another Vekoma roller coaster, and that's a Vekoma launch coaster. And this is actually one of the first new, as in new style, Vekoma roller coasters that we actually saw.
Okay.
If not the first new style Vekoma roller coaster that we actually saw.
It looks okay.
Yeah, exactly. So Vekoma went from building jank-ass rides, sorry to everyone who likes Vekoma and Arrow for that matter, to building this in the space of a few years.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like, it looks really good, it tracks really well, I've heard it's very smooth, the elements are great, the combination of elements and the pacing is great.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strange that they just seem to, flick a switch and then go from...
Yeah, they suddenly knew how to do it all along.
Yeah, exactly. It's odd, very odd. But they got this, and obviously this was a step in the direction that they're heading towards now. So this was their second major thrill coaster and their first launch coaster. And then that was followed by 3 new roller coasters in 2017. Mm-hmm. Happy Loops,
this looks weird.
SBF Visa spinning coaster. It's like a crap spinning coaster. Thing is, I don't quite get why the park would be investing in these kind of fairground rides.
Yeah.
It seems odd to me, but
we don't know what else is in Poland in terms of like rides like this anyway.
Yeah, this is true. But at the same time, these are such low capacity, small scale investments.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
They're obviously like aiming to have a solid, like really solid base of a family park.
Yeah.
Before they properly got into the thrill rides.
Mm-hmm. And that was joined by a circus coaster, a tiny family coaster, and also Boomerang, a Vekoma family boomerang coaster. So interesting additions.
Yeah.
The family boomerang coaster seems to be quite themed. It seems like any of the slightly less temporary additions, the ones that aren't tiny roller coasters, actually get some decent theming.
Yeah.
So this looks good. There's 2 bits where you go through buildings. One of the buildings at the top of the spike. So yeah, it's pretty nice. And then 2018, we saw 2 additions. One in the form of a water coaster, an Intamin water coaster. So that's pretty much just you climb to a great height, go down a big drop, splash into some water a little bit, but then carry on a roller coaster layout, and then go in for a proper splash.
Okay.
It's quite interesting. It's an absolute unit of a ride because the trains are so big and the track's so thick. But then obviously the main addition for 2018 was the thing that most people probably know Energylandia for, and what caused more people to want to go there, and that's Hyperion, their Intamin hypercoaster.
And this looks really well themed.
What, Hyperion?
Well, not really well themed, but like it's more stylized.
Yeah, it looks good. The station building and around directly around the station looks good.
Yeah, I like how they have the massive letters that say the name, and then you go through the O to start the key.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
It is cool, and it's very like modern looking.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's space themed.
Yeah.
So
it just looks nice though.
Yeah, they've done a good job with this. There's no theming outside of the coaster when you go on or anywhere else. as I said, it does seem that all the theming is very localized
Yeah.
to the entrance or the building of the ride.
Yeah, it's quite bare around. The whole park seems quite bare, like there's not that many trees going on or any big, like, I don't know, anything big. It's basically just grass and then a ride on it, which maybe they'll be adding more stuff in the future.
Yeah.
I feel like Hyperion just needs some trees, like, around.
Yeah, this is very true. Yeah.
Because it's quite exposed as it is.
Well, it does run adjacent to the car park.
Right.
Because obviously it's such a massive coaster, and it's such a long one, you know, it goes all the way along and all the way back, that you need the space. But yeah, no, I agree. Some trees would be ideal to kind of, not hide it, but just make it a bit more interesting.
It would just soften the whole area, because at the minute it's just very, like, bare.
Yeah.
But it still looks good.
Yeah. That's all the coasters that they have as of now.
Okay.
They are building a few as we speak, including Junior Coaster, Unknown, and Zadra.
Okay.
So
4 more this year.
Yes.
Brilliant. It's actually crazy.
Well, 4 more next year. Again, most of these are small.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, 2 of them are small. They've got another family coaster in the Dragon area.
Okay.
And then they've got some other Vekoma Junior Coaster. I don't know where that's going or why that's going. Then they have Zadra, which is in the Dragon area that we spoke about as well.
Yeah.
And Zadra is arguably going to be the new flagship of the park.
Okay, so what is Zadra?
It's a Rocky Mount construction iBox roller coaster, right? So it's a hybrid. It's got metal track and wooden supports mostly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a classic RMC, it seems, where it's massive, absolutely massive. It's nearly the same height as Hyperion. Yeah, it's hard to explain.
So is it basically going to be one of the best RMCs in the world?
To be honest, it looks quite unique for an RMC. Usually, RMCs don't have many extremely, like, snappy, low to the ground sections.
Okay.
Whereas Zadra has several.
Right.
So it seems that it's quite a bit different to the classic RMC layout, which I am A-okay with, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, it makes it different, so you want to go there.
Yeah, but it's being joined by the whole new area. So they're building Zadra and the new Dragon area together.
Okay.
And this medieval Dragon area will accompany the ride. Which is good, but it looks weird because there's just nothing, and then there's all of these medieval buildings.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to walk down a path of nothing to then enter this village.
But I guess, you know, in a couple of years there'll be like at least probably one more area added on there.
Yeah.
So essentially
you'd
they're splitting the park across this road. So there's one section that's already there now on one side, and then eventually there'll basically be another whole half of the park on the other side of the road.
Yeah. People wondered whether Zadra was going to open this year.
Yeah, somebody's asked us, when do you think Zadra will open?
Well, what happened was they were making such rapid progress, and they were doing really well. And then there was a heavy storm that tore some of the massive supports down.
Oh, wow.
So they had to rebuild
those
supports.
That's not good, is it?
Well, it's because they're unfinished.
Okay.
You know, if you have unfinished, if you build a support structure that isn't connected via track, it's obviously going to be weaker.
Yeah.
No, this is what some people are having this thought, like, why would it fall down? I'm like, well, it's only at its design strength when it's all finished.
Yeah.
Some supports will support other supports. The track will join all of the supports together and make them stronger, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why it came down, just because it wasn't finished. But so that obviously delayed things. But then again, they're still making some rapid progress, it seems.
So is it a toss-up between this year and next year that it's going to open?
Pretty much. I think it heavily depends on the area, because I doubt it would open without the area.
Right.
And I'm not too sure how the area is doing in terms of progress.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like it's going to be a way away, you know. It does look like it's closer to the start of the year than the end of it.
Mm.
But this will be another reason for enthusiasts to obviously go to Energylandia.
Yeah. Being
the third Rocky Mountain roller coaster in Europe. According to this guy, Zadra is meant to be opened late 2019 as a standalone ride, and the themed area with the second coaster is meant to open in 2020.
Oh.
Yeah.
But then, so that just leaves literally the coaster on its own.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see if that happens. I think maybe things have got delayed because of the supports falling down.
Yeah.
But it seems that was the original timeline.
Okay. But it's soon anyway.
Soon, yeah, soon.
We're just going to answer some of the questions that you guys sent in because there's actually quite a few that we want to talk about. Zach says, Energylandia is often regarded as a park with very little or even no atmosphere. This leads me to ask, how much does atmosphere actually matter in a park?
What do you think?
I think I can see how it might not have an atmosphere because it's just brand new.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the atmosphere comes from like the character of a park.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I feel like it's hard to say without having been there, but maybe they're trying to work on it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like, it depends what you're going for. Like if an enthusiast was going to go to Energylandia, it's probably just to ride basically the rides.
Mm-hmm.
So it's less of like, oh, let's go for a day out for a nice time.
Yeah, but even then, like, you can take the example of amusement parks, right, that don't have any theming or anything.
Yeah.
Even those have atmosphere. When you talk about Cedar Point and how it's completely barren of most theming, everyone still says it has atmosphere.
Yeah.
But then I also think atmosphere is not always just something a park alone generates.
Yeah. It's like the history and all the people there. And
yeah, but also who you go with as well will help to build a different atmosphere.
And even the weather, like
the
whole days, it's probably not, it's probably 80% not their fault. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can obviously build an atmosphere, but yeah, as you said, I think once things start to bed in a bit more, and once there's a few more dedicated areas and a few more attractions, I think the atmosphere will build naturally.
Yeah, and it's only been open for 5 years.
Yeah.
So, I think once I get to like 10 years, it will be more settled in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. And they'll figure out what their atmosphere is meant to be. Because it's so new. Yeah. I don't know how they could possibly like just whip up an atmosphere immediately. Mm-hmm. I think it takes time. So there's a lot of questions along the lines of, do you think in a few years' time they're going to have like the best lineup in Europe? Somebody said, what more do you believe this park could do in order to become the best in Europe? Someone else said, do you think that it could potentially be the first park to have 20 roller coasters? So basically, do you think it's going to be the best soon?
Europe is a different place to the rest of the world in terms of each region goes for its own thing. America's all about scale outside of the big Disney and Universal parks.
Yeah.
Europe's not about scale. It's about enjoyment and having a fun day, right? It's about the overall package.
Mm-hmm.
And until Energylandia kind of learns that, then it won't be the best park in Europe, because just look at Europa Park and how heavily themed that is and how there's something to do for everyone.
Yeah.
And the things to do for everyone, everything is really well themed. The thrill rides are well themed. The crap kiddie rides are well themed,
Yeah.
So, and the shows, Energylandia does have shows as well, though, to be fair. And there's dark rides and there's a mix of attractions. And until you have a park that learns that and builds everything or a bit of everything, then you can't have be the best park. But for someone who just wants roller coasters, they are on their way to having a really, really solid lineup.
Yeah. So potentially they could have the best lineup, but they have a lot longer of a way to go before they're the best overall.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with Hyperion and Zadra, that's already probably a fantastic one too. And in the pipeline is a Vekoma multi-launch coaster, something similar. Imagine Vekoma's idea of Taron or something like that, right? It's pretty much what it is. So they'll have, Zadra, Hyperion, a Taron-esque launch coaster, obviously without the theming. So once those two other additions are in, the lineup will be impressively strong. But again, that's only if you really care about the coasters.
Yeah. We also got a lot of questions about basically, why did they get such a huge investment every year? So somebody said, how can they have so many coasters built in such a short amount of time?
Yeah, this goes back to what we spoke about, the European Union investment.
Yeah.
So they've been putting in applications for grants and for their new additions to be paid for. And I think this is pretty much how they've managed to do it. On top of having money to start with, and having a plan. Obviously, they must have had a plan where they said, okay, we want this much to be open at the start, and then we'll expand it gradually.
Yeah.
Instead of doing something like, let's get 80% of the part done and then expand, they've gone, let's get 40% done and then expand, So I think because of the way that they chose to do it, it looks like they're expanding really quickly, but it may have it may have been the plan originally to kind of just stagger it to get the park open earlier,
right. On that kind of note, somebody called Will said, do you think they're expanding too quickly?
It is a good question, to be fair, because you could outpace yourself. I was thinking about that. The thing is, the faster you build stuff, the faster your operating costs go up.
Yeah, that's true.
So you kind of have to drag or draw the people in before your operating costs go up too much. And sometimes drawing people in isn't even just a ride. You can put a new investment in and it can still draw people for several years.
Yeah.
So I kind of do think that they are doing things a little bit too quickly. Hyperion, fine, right? 2 years it seems like a good idea. But to get 2 new coasters that are seemingly planned for like 2020 or 2020 and 2021 is very, very crazy.
Yeah. Alex says, after the additions that we know are coming, what would you say would be the next big step for the park to expand?
I think they need to have a focus on areas again. Or like with the Dragon area, they need to expand with new areas or build areas.
Yeah.
But it does seem like they've got a decent collection of roller coasters, so potentially other attractions like dark rides.
Yeah, that's true. Do they have any dark rides?
Not that I could see on the website. So
yeah, I think that they've got so many like rides and loads of like family rides.
Yeah.
That they need to have other stuff like dark rides and that because they've already got enough coasters.
Yeah, definitely. Got to expand in other ways.
Yeah. Isaac says, is it a good park to visit if it's the first time visiting out of the country? So like their first park outside of the UK?
Man, that's a hard question.
I want to say no, because like you were saying earlier, it's not a very it's kind of themed, but it's not like the best themed in Europe.
Yeah.
I'd say go to Europa or Phantasialand or something that's more themed and like, I guess because they're older, they've had more time to sort out their areas and everything.
Yeah, it truly depends on what you're looking for. You've got to realise that Energylandia, the experience you'll have there is probably quite different to the experience you have in many built-up European parks.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, there's never like a best park to go to first. Again, you've just got to kind of look at what you want to go and experience, what you want to go and ride.
Yeah.
Do you want to get on Chamois B and go to PortAventura and sit in 2-hour queues while they run it terribly? Or do you want to go to Phantasialand and ride Taron and then be slightly underwhelmed by it? Or or go to Liseberg and go ride Helix, or go to the Efteling and ride some okay coasters.
Yeah.
It depends what you're looking for.
I feel like everybody has their own like thing that like, oh, I really want to ride Taron, and so therefore you'd go to Phantasialand.
Yeah, exactly.
If you really want to ride Hyperion or
Zadra,
then obviously go to Energylandia.
Exactly. But it's just choosing what you want based on what they have.
Yeah.
It's always the case.
Somebody's asked, what's their biggest investment?
I do not know how much everything costs, actually.
It's obviously got to be either Hyperion or Zadra.
Yeah, you'd expect so.
This is where it's like one of the kid rides.
I don't know how much Hyperion cost. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but it would make sense for it to be either Zadra or Hyperion.
Yeah, you'd assume.
Yeah.
So we also did a poll this episode, and it was, do you think Zadra Energylandia's new RMC, currently under construction, will be a better ride than Hyperion, the park's Intamin hypercoaster? And you haven't seen the result.
I haven't.
So what do you think it's going to be? So it's yes or no?
85% yes.
Bang on, mate. It was 84% yes. So
Too
that's
good.
probably...
I honestly didn't look.
That's one of the, like, most unanimous decisions our polls have ever
Well, I
had.
knew that was going to be the answer.
Yeah.
I was interested by how much.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
And we got a few replies as to why people would say yes or no. Jamie says, Untamed looks great, so hopefully Zadra will top it and be what people are already calling the Steel Vengeance of Europe.
Potentially. It looks different. Zadra definitely looks different. It doesn't look like your classic cookie cutter RMC elements laid out one by one.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Someone says, I think it will ride better because Hyperion never looked like a top 5 new for 2018 ride. And from the POVs and some reviews I've read, it seems like it's quite the rattle.
Rattles don't mean anything. Helix has a rattle. Icon Back Row has a rattle.
Oh, so
it's fine.
when you watch the POV, does it look like it's shaky?
Well, you can never judge a rattle by a POV.
Okay.
Because it could be a poorly mounted camera.
Yeah.
But even then, like, you're sitting in a seat with a lap bar over you. Even if you can feel a slight rattle, what's the difference?
Surely, like all roller coasters rattle.
So.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but some just don't.
Okay.
Like Swarm's really smooth and Galactica's really smooth.
Yeah.
So some do rattle. And some do rattle more than others, or at certain parts of the ride. But it's not even that bad. Like we've come so far to think that we're calling a slight vibration in the track a deal breaker, when 30 years ago or 35 years ago we were riding these terrible arrow looping coasters that would break your neck with over the shoulder restraints, and that was okay back then.
Yeah.
So we're just being a bit babyish, you know. It's true though. Standards have gone up so much that sometimes we have to realize that how good we have it, you know.
Yeah. Sam says Hyperion looks like a fantastic ride, really intense with some good airtime and unique elements. Zadra, however, fixes the one issue that Steel Vengeance has, which is the repetitive nature of the layout. The pacing seems better than Hyperion, and I could see it besting SV as well.
This is it. It looks always quick. It goes big, it goes tall, and then at the end it goes low to the ground and really snappy and twisty. And it's different. It's just different. Most of the RMCs are kind of out and back, where they're just going over these airtime hills because they've got nothing else to do with the layout kind of thing. But this looks just different, and I'm really kind of excited to see what people think of it.
Yeah.
But you know, you're right about Hyperion as well. Hyperion has some nice unique elements as well, like that dive loop. I'm a massive fan of that dive loop. I love dive loop.
Okay, last one. Joel says, I don't think Hyperion lived up to people's expectations. Zadra looked to be a lot longer and have some much more interesting elements.
Yeah, I don't think it did live up to people's expectations either, which is a bit sad, really. But
was that because the expectations were just too high?
I don't know. I guess so, because we hadn't seen an Intamin coaster in the UK that scale in the UK. In Europe, that scale for ages. Yeah, I think people got a bit over their heads in it all.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't look terrible in any sense of the word. So yeah, I don't know.
It looks like a pretty good park though, considering how young it is. Like, I didn't think it would have that many coasters already, even though I knew that obviously it had expanded a lot quickly, but it looks pretty solid.
It does look very solid for what it is.
And I guess if it's something you fancy, you should pop over, because it's basically just outside Krakow, which is one of like the airports, right? The big airports. Mm-hmm. So they've positioned it well for you if you fancy going.
Yeah, I've heard it's quite cheap to go.
Yeah.
Just the whole package of going to Poland and flights to Poland and staying in Poland is all quite a cheap trip out.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I guess in 5 years, it'll be a completely different park again.
Yeah, well, hopefully anyway.
Yeah.
Hopefully they keep adding things and keep improving things.
That's it for this episode, I guess. Next week, we are going to be talking about, it's a mini-sode, but we're going to be talking about Cloud Cuckoo Land out on Towers. So get excited for that. You can follow us on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube, obviously iTunes and Spotify, all of that stuff. Leave us a review if you want. Also, if you want to know how we make the podcast, I'm going to be doing a video this week on my YouTube channel, which is Zosterbot, and it'll just be kind of behind the scenes how we make it. So check that out if you want. And obviously follow Coasterbot everywhere.
Bye.
Bye.